If you've been keeping up with my videos about how I built this guitar, then welcome back. This latest installment is about how I relic the headstock. If you're new, then I'll try to briefly explain what I've been doing. This is a parts caster guitar. It's a Stratocaster, as you can see. I'll show you the back. And what I've been doing is, as I put this guitar together, I've been trying to document it along the way, and I put together playlists, and each of those videos in the playlist focuses on a particular topic, like finishing the body of the guitar, finishing the neck, relicing the hardware, etc., etc. Be sure to check out that playlist. So a little bit about this guitar. This guitar is supposed to be sort of a custom shop 62 Stratocaster. Obviously pretty heavily relic'd. So if you were to buy this guitar from the Fender Custom Shop, it probably cost you about $3,500 to $4,000. So I was trying to build this as sort of a cost-saving measure and just to see if I could do it. I'm not really skimped on any of the parts. So I started with a two-piece alder body that was lightweight, under 4 pounds, and I bought a neck that was to my specifications in every way. And then I finished the guitar in nitrocellulose. I bought a Fender spec Tremolo system. I bought Fender pickguard and plastics. I bought hand-wound pickups and vintage tuners. So again, there's videos on all this stuff, and if you're interested, there's plenty to watch. So a little preface to this whole thing. When I was first putting this guitar together and thinking about building it, I kind of jumped the gun and I bought this neck off of eBay. And it was a really well done relic job. I ended up not keeping the neck because there were some things that I did not like about it. And thankfully it worked out to where I could return it. So at the end of this video, after I talk about how I relic my headstock, I'm going to show you the close-up video I took of that previous neck, the one that I did not keep, because I feel like it's a really good example of a relic job. And I just so happened to have it at one point, and so I took the opportunity to take video and sort of have that in my back pocket as a reference to when I was doing mine. Then after that, at the very end of the video, I'm going to show you sort of a close-up of my headstock and what it looks like. So I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you get a lot out of it. Thanks for watching. Alright, I'm going to talk about how I relic'd the headstock of this Stratocaster neck. I think, this is one of the things that I feel like I actually got right with this relic build. Not that I got the other things really wrong, but this is one of the things I guess that on the first try I feel like I did a pretty good job. So what I did, well, just first of all, I guess I'll show you kind of where the most of the relic is. Ice cream cone. So I'm killing two birds with one stone here. Anyway, I just put up a bunch of pictures and things. I actually had a really good example to go by in the first neck that I bought. Thankfully, I was able to return that neck because it was not what I wanted at all as far as the neck profile. Anyway, it was a really good relic job though. And so I took a video and pictures of that to go by, and then I looked at just pictures online. So this is one of the spots where you'll see a lot of aging and wear on those old guitars or on the relics that are, made to look old. And this actually was really pretty sharp when I got it. Musikraft neck, if you don't already know, but it was really sharp and I wanted to round that off. I should have rounded it off maybe a little more before I finished it. If it were new, I should have, but thankfully, because it's a relic, I can go ahead do that after the fact. But anyway, so here and then on the top of that, hopefully you can see those kind of details. And there's just some dings and stuff here and there and up here on the top of the headstock. And then on the back, you can see some nicks and things. And around the, I guess you call it the volute of the headstock, right there, and some right here. Some people do the cigarette burn. I don't think I'm going to go that far. But yeah, so I was pretty happy with the way it turned out, and I'll kind of describe how I did it, and maybe I'll show you a little bit. I'm pretty satisfied with the way it looks right now, so I don't want to do a whole lot more to it, but I'll kind of walk through with you how I did it. Okay, so essentially I just grabbed sort of a mixed bag of tools. I've got a set of files here from Harbor Freight, super cheap. This is a super cheap wrench, screwdriver, a rock, a screw. I haven't really used that, but it's just laying around. And then sandpaper, and this is a key ingredient, kiwi shoe polish. So a lot of it really was done with the sandpaper. This is some pretty gritty sandpaper, maybe 100, 150, I don't know. I didn't cut it out with the label on the back. But on the edges, if you just kind of go and swipe, depending on like how narrow you want the paper, you can kind of fold it up, or you can leave it wide. But you can just kind of scuff and do it hopefully randomly. You know, don't do the whole thing. Just do some random spots. And that's what I did here on the corner too, with just some sandpaper, rub it down. And then on the back, I did maybe some dings with the screwdriver. I did some dings with like the corner of the wrench. You know, you can kind of hammer it, hit it really hard, or you can just push it down and press and kind of like grind it in there. That's what I did with the rock a few times, is just kind of put it on the headstock and then kind of push and grind it down to make sort of random indentations. And then when you do that, take some just kiwi shoe polish and get a rag or whatever, the old t-shirt, and just kind of get a little bit on your rag and then go over it. And you'll even see maybe some like darkish smudges on the back, some discoloration. And I feel like maybe that's what even Fender does, the Custom Shop. Because if you look at a lot of their relic headstocks, they sort of have this like brown discoloration here and there. And I feel like that's kind of achieved with the kiwi shoe polish, you know. So I wiped it on, and then I kind of wiped it off with the rag. Now, if you really want to, because there's one spot where I kind of overdid it, right here. I took like these, I don't know what you call those, but like almost serrated edges of the wrench, and I kind of dug in right there. I kind of went too much on top of the headstock than I wanted to. And then I rubbed shoe polish in there, and that really made it show up. So I didn't like that. And what I did was stick some paint thinner, and it actually came right off. So even though there's, you know, kind of like a nick and ding there, it doesn't stand out as much as I would like it to, which is good. So yeah, so I'll just kind of show you maybe an example. Like right here, I feel like maybe it could stand a little bit more of a relic, if you will. So I'm just gonna take maybe an edge of this rock here and kind of grind it in there. So see that mark there? Wow. So yeah, I went down to bare wood, and now I'm going to take some shoe polish, and I've even just got a tissue or a Kleenex, and my shoe polish unfortunately is super dried out. So if you want to wet your rag in an instance like this, that might even be good, but that's just what I've got and I'm working with right now, and it really doesn't matter too much. So I'm gonna wipe that shoe polish in there, just kind of get it discolored a little bit. You see that there? You know, so that might be a little bit too perfectly round. I'm not sure how I did that with a rock like that, but I managed to do it. But anyway, so something like that, and then just wipe it off like so. And that's really all I did for this thing. And then I'll show you maybe a little bit here on the edge again. Let's do maybe the top edge right here. So I just kind of went through, and it doesn't take much, at least on my headstock, to go right through the finish and the color or the tint right to the wood. All right, and so same kind of thing. Take your shoe polish, color it in there, and then just, it almost, you know, doesn't stand out as much. It just kind of looks like random dirt or random wear and tear. So I feel like this method is really quite good, and I'm pretty satisfied with it. So I may try to possibly put a little bit of a random mark around that circular one that I just made. But anyway, that's the main idea behind this, and I just wanted to share that because you won't really find a lot of people sharing their secrets. But they're really not secrets to me. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just doing the best I can, but I am happy with the way this turned out. And if you want to do something like this, then by all means, go for it, and hope it works out for you. So this is the neck that I bought off eBay early on in the game, and I got a little anxious, and I just wanted to start the project, and I bought it before I really did the research that I should have done. So let me give you a few specs on the neck, and then I'll show you some close-up of the guy's relic work, which I think is a fantastic job. So the neck is a Mighty Mite neck, and it is model MF2902, V as in Victor. So some of these things that I didn't necessarily like about the neck, you'll see the area where you adjust the truss rod, it has that plastic insert, black plastic insert. Now, that's not necessarily a telltale sign of a cheap neck, but it is a telltale sign of a Mighty Mite neck. And if you're going for vintage, then that's not something that you want to have. It just is kind of a dead giveaway that you've got maybe an aftermarket neck. I think Fender actually used that on some of their models through the years. But as I learned more about the necks, I realized that's something that I did not want. Some other things about the neck, the nut that came on this one is 1 5/8 or 1.625 inches. That nut width was a little bit too narrow for me. The guitars that I have and I'm comfortable with, my other electrics have a wider nut. Not necessarily as wide as the American Standard Stratocasters, but the nut width that I like is actually 1.65 inches. And I believe that's what's on John Mayer's Black One guitar. And his guitar is what I was sort of roughly going after. More importantly, like a 62 or early 60s Stratocaster. So now I'm going to show you some close-up video of the headstock and the relic job that was done. Again, a really good job on the relicing. If I had to keep the neck solely on the relic job, I would have kept it. So as you can see, some of the edges, and he's got the cigarette burn at the top of the headstock there. And then along the edges, his guitar is a little bit more, I guess, black or grayish. He may have used maybe black kiwi shoe polish. I don't know, I can't say for certain, but based on my use of the brown shoe polish, it looks like he may have used black or maybe a combination of black and brown. You can see his headstock is a little bit more beat up than mine. Of course, that's the taste. But, you know, I think this is a great looking guitar neck. And the only reason that I didn't keep it was that I wanted to just make my own and customize. So you can see the back of the neck here. He did a great job on the edges between where the unfinished portion of the neck is and then where that meets the finished portion. It's not too stark of a contrast. He blended that in really well. I don't know what he used on the back of the neck, but again, it looks like, based on my research later on, it looks like he may have used some kind of black dye to get that grayish color, but I can't say for certain. One of the other things that I did not want was the skunk stripe on the back. I didn't want to have that because the vintage Strats, the early 60s, did not have that. So I didn't want it. And just, again, I just jumped the gun and I got this neck too soon. And I was able to return it with no problems based on some things that communication and some loopholes with the eBay transaction. I was able to send it back. So no harm, no foul. I will say too that the profile of the neck was a lot more narrow than I wanted. When I measured it, it was at the first fret 0.787 inches. And at the 12th fret, it was 0.846 inches. Now, the neck I ended up purchasing from Musikraft was 0.83 inches at the first fret and 0.92 inches at the 12th fret. And I based that neck profile essentially on a mid to thick C-shaped neck that you would typically find on an early 60s Strat. Then the only other interesting thing about this neck I pointed out here is that down the middle of the neck, down the center, it looks like there's maybe even a crack. It doesn't feel necessarily like a crack when I felt of it, but it looks like it. There you can see, so it kind of like straddles the skunk stripe there a little bit. On the lower part of the neck, it kind of just runs parallel to the skunk stripe. And it looks like it would be a crack. That's the only thing I can think of. I can't see how the wood grain would do something like that. And again, the neck didn't feel necessarily like it was cracked, but it did kind of have a feeling that there was a bit of a raised surface right there. So all in all, I'm super glad that I did not keep this neck. There's a lot of things that I don't like about it, or I didn't like about it. But the relic job, in summary, is a great example, and that's what I base mine off of.